The cosmic mountain is a well-known idea in both biblical scholarship and the pagan religions of Israel's neighbors. The cosmic mountain is the place where God dwells and the place where his divine council meets. There are many passages in both the Old and New Testaments that give us insight into this idea of the cosmic mountain. We also have writings of the pagans that also give us the view that they held about this exact same topic. Now, the Library of Ugarit that archaeologists discovered has given us great insights into the beliefs of Israel's pagan neighbors. The chief god of Ugarit was El, and Baal was his co-ruler. They had a mountain where they were said to live and hold their council meetings. It was called Sapanu, the remote heights of the north. And the phrase remote heights of the north is very important. We're going to come back to that in a minute. But the phrases paved bricks and the clearness of lapis lazuli were used when describing Baal's palace on Sapanu. And Baal's palace was believed to be on the heights of Sapanu. Now that's important because when we get to the book of Exodus, the mountain of God is repeatedly mentioned in Exodus, chapter 3, 4, 18, and 24. And it's chapter 24 that we're going to look at right now. And you'll notice that some of the phraseology in Exodus 24 sounds very similar to what the Ugarit literature has to say about Baal's mountain, Sapanu. So in Exodus chapter 24, starting at verse 1, we read, and this is Yahweh speaking, it says, "Then he said to Moses, 'Come up to Yahweh, you and Aaron, Nadab and Abihu, and 70 of the elders of Israel, and worship from afar. Moses alone shall come near to Yahweh, but the others shall not come near, and the people shall not come up with him.'" We're getting a glimpse here into the biblically accurate version of co-ruler and ruler. Now, in the Ugaritic literature, Baal was the co-ruler and El was the ruler. But that's the knockoff. The Bible teaches clearly that the true understanding of this is what scholars refer to as the two powers in heaven theology, where both of the rulers were Yahweh. There was the Yahweh that was invisible in the heavens and Yahweh that was visible upon the earth. And the one that's visible upon the earth appears in human form, and that's what we're going to see here in Exodus chapter 24. And this is the Old Testament backdrop for the idea of Trinitarianism or Godhead theology that the New Testament fully develops. But we see a glimpse of it here in these verses of Exodus, where Yahweh tells Moses to come up the mountain to meet with Yahweh. So we have both Yahwehs right there in the passage, the one in heaven and then the one that Moses and the elders of Israel are going to encounter and see in human form on the mountain of God, the cosmic mountain. So continuing in Exodus 24, verse 9, it says, "Then Moses and Aaron, Nadab and Abihu, and 70 of the elders of Israel went up, and they saw the God of Israel. There was under his feet, as it were, a pavement of sapphire stone, like the very heaven for clearness. And he did not lay his hand on the chief men of the people of Israel. They beheld God and ate and drank." So we see there, they saw God and they had a meal with him. So he's in human form, they saw him, and they ate with him. But if you notice there, the description of it, what was under his feet, as it were a pavement of sapphire stone, like the very heaven for clearness. Now that's very reminiscent of what the Ugaritic literature had to say about Baal's palace, where paved bricks, the clearness of lapis lazuli, were phrases that were used there. So what do we make of the fact that the Bible says that the pavement under the feet of Yahweh sounds very similar to the description of Baal's palace? Is this because Israelite religion is a knockoff of Canaanite religion? Some people would say that that's the case, but that's not the case. It's actually not surprising that these descriptions sound the same, because when members of the Most High God, Yahweh, when members of Yahweh's council rebelled against him, they took his titles and throne room and council structure and made their own counterfeit versions. And that's what we find in the Ugaritic literature and the other literature of the pagan world, is that the rebel gods saw the beauty and splendor that surrounded Yahweh. So when they set up their own worship among the nations, they stole what belongs to Yahweh and applied it to themselves. His titles, the structure of his temple, and even the terms and phraseology that are ascribed to him. This will also come up when we study the gods of chaos at a later time. This is not something that is unique to Ugarit, but the Babylonian writings and many of the other pagan writings also describe their gods using similar language. Even the names, if you notice, the name of the god of Ugarit was El, and El is a title that the biblical writers use of Yahweh. El Shaddai, for example, and many other titles use the phrase El for the God of Israel, Yahweh. But when the gods rebelled, they took his names and applied it to themselves, and that's one glaring example, is El. So I mentioned a little while ago the phrase remote heights of the north. Now when we get to Psalm 48, starting at verse 1, it says, "Great is Yahweh and greatly to be praised in the city of our God. His holy mountain, beautiful in elevation, is the joy of all the earth. Mount Zion in the far north, the city of the great King." The phrase translated far north is Yarkei Zaphon in Hebrew. And this is the place that Hillel ben Shakar sought to set his throne in Isaiah 14, 12 through 14, which says, "How are you fallen from heaven, O day star, son of the dawn?" And in the Hebrew, that's Hillel ben Shakar. "How are you cut down to the ground, you who laid the nations low? You said in your heart, I will ascend to heaven. Above the stars of God, I will set my throne on high. I will sit on the mount of assembly in the far reaches of the north. I will ascend above the heights of the clouds. I will make myself like the Most High." Now we saw right there the phrase far reaches of the north. That's Yarkei Zaphon again in the Hebrew. The same cosmic location as Mount Zion. So right there we know that this is not talking about a singular specific place on the earth. That phrase has cosmic significance. And this is also the phrase, Yarkei Zaphon, that in Ezekiel 38 and 39, it says that is where Gog comes from. So we can see there, as a side note, that is not a term referring to Russia. Russia is not located in Yarkei Zaphon, as a side note. But we do see that Hillel ben Shakar seeks to set his throne there. But he will be cast to the heights of the pit in verse 15 of Isaiah 14. Now I'm going to read a little bit of the Dictionary of Deities and Demons, their entry on Zaphon, because they have some important things to say here. So I'm going to just read this, a little bit of this right now. So from the DDD on page 927, their entry for Zaphon, it says, "In the Northwest Semitic languages, Zaphon is first attested in Ugaritic texts as a designation for Jebel al-Akra to the north of Ugarit. In the Old Testament, Zaphon occurs in a general sense meaning north, and in a special sense designating a divine mountain. In this latter sense, Zaphon is used as a synonym for Mount Zion." And that part I just mentioned, Yarkei Zaphon being used of Mount Zion in Psalm 48. Continuing with the DDD now, it says, "Mount Zaphon was regarded as a holy mountain in the mythological and ritual texts of Ugarit. In the Ugaritic mythological tradition, Mount Zaphon receives its holiness from Baal's palace being built on its peak. In mythological texts, Zaphon is qualified as Baal's mountain, his sanctuary, and the mountain of Baal's heritage. The aspect of the divine abode has also been preserved in the Aramaic tradition. In the Papyrus Amherst, a god is asked to bring help from Zaphon. Zaphon stands here for the divine abode par excellence, and it is not confined to Jebel al-Akra." Now that's very important. That's very important, and we're gonna come back to that, because I'm going to read that again. It says Zaphon is not confined to Jebel al-Akra. So while it is a term used of that specific mountain, the term itself had a much broader usage and became used for just the divine mountain. The most important divine mountain or cosmic mountain was given the term Zaphon. And we see that being the case in Psalm 48, for example. That they're not saying that Mount Zion is the same thing as Jebel al-Aqra, because that's just not the case. Jebel al-Aqra is in modern-day Turkey, Mount Zion being in Israel. They're not the same, but the phrase is used much more broadly than just Jebel al-Aqra, and that's important. So back to the DDD a little bit more. In the Old Testament, Zaphon can also designate a divine abode. So again, they're saying that in the Ugaritic literature as well as in the Bible, the term is used the same as a divine abode. The king of Babylon wanted to sit on the Mount of Assembly on the summit of Zaphon in Isaiah 14:13. In this context, Zaphon stands for the divine mountain par excellence, wherever it is located. The case is different in Psalm 48:3 because in that passage, which again is the one that I referred to just a second ago, it's not Jebel al-Aqra, but that's what they're saying, is that that's not that big of a deal because the term has become used for the par excellence divine mountain no matter where it's located. So in Psalm 48, where Mount Zion is on the summit of Zaphon, Jerusalem's sacred mountain is called Zaphon because Yahweh, as supreme God of Israel, can only be enthroned on the divine mountain par excellence. This aspect also underlies Job 26 verse 7, where Zaphon stands for heaven, meaning Yahweh's divine abode. So that's all I wanted to read out of the Dictionary of Deities and Demons, their entry there on Zaphon. Because the scholarship is well aware of the usages of this term as the location of the cosmic mountain, not just the one in Turkey, Jebel al-Aqra, but any divine abode where the high God reigns and rules from is referred to as Zaphon. And of course, being a Christian, I believe that Yahweh is the God of the universe, the creator of all things, and he rules and reigns from Zaphon, which according to the scriptures is Mount Zion, the divine abode par excellence.